The fossil record is infamously incomplete, as less than 1% of all life on Earth has ever been fossilized. And while the remains of these animals can give us plenty of information about the physical appearance of these creatures, their behavior is largely unknown to this day, which is why trace fossils are so important to understanding the behavior of extinct animals. Trace fossils, or ichnofossils formally, are the activity of an organism that gets fossilized, with coprolites, burrows, and footprints being some of the best ways to understand the behavior of these magnificent animals. The downside with trace fossils is that it is extremely difficult to understand what animals they came from, but even with that, they give paleontologists an amazing view into the world of the past. And for the purposes of this video, we will be traveling to Government Canyon State Natural Area, which is one of the worst park names I've ever seen in my life. But this is outside of San Antonio, Texas, and around 40 minutes from where I live currently. In the park, there are hundreds of footprints, with there being 2 dinosaurs behind them. The round tracks are from a large sauropod, most likely Sauroposeidon, the tallest dinosaur that we know of, and it genuinely has one of the coolest names ever, with Sauroposeidon meaning lizard earthquake god in reference to the Greek deity Poseidon. The other type of track was made by a large theropod. This dinosaur was the largest predator in North America during its time period, with it being a relative of theropods such as Giganotosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus. So ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, I would like to introduce the king of the south, Acrocanthosaurus. Acrocanthosaurus is named after its defining trait, the tall neural spines that go down its back. In life, these tall spines most likely supported a hump-like structure, which is different from other dinosaurs that were fossilized with tall spines, with Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus being perfect examples of this. This hump supported a large amount of muscle, which most likely made it an extremely large and bulky animal, with Acrocanthosaurus weighing around 5 to 7 tons, and it reached lengths of 38 feet. Looking at its relatives in Carcharodontosauridae, it is on the larger side, with it being larger than animals such as Concavenator, but it is smaller than the largest members of the group, with Carcharodontosaurus and Giganotosaurus being much larger than our already massive predator. But unlike many of its relatives, Acrocanthosaurus lived in North America, with fossils being discovered from Texas to Wyoming to Oklahoma to Maryland. And while we don't have a full skeleton, multiple individuals have been discovered, and we have bones from almost every part of the body, with the skull being especially helpful. The skull of Acrocanthosaurus was extremely thin and long, which is a trait that it shares with many of its relatives, but our theropod takes this to the extreme, and like many of its relatives, their teeth were thin and serrated, which was made for slicing. If we compare Acrocanthosaurus's teeth to the ones of Tyrannosaurus, you can see how large and thick the teeth of T-Rex are, which was designed for crushing bone, unlike the teeth of our titular theropod. In comparison to many Tyrannosaurs, Acrocanthosaurus had much larger and more developed arms, which had 3 fingers and large claws at the end of each digit, which was most likely used to subdue prey, but their bite was still doing the majority of the damage. Our large Carcharodontosaur was one of the largest theropods to ever lived, and roamed across the southern and western United States, with the first specimen being discovered in Oklahoma. So let's dig into the discovery and history of Acrocanthosaurus. The first evidence of large theropods in the region was the tracks from the Paluxy River, which was discovered in 1909, but the first fossils of Acrocanthosaurus were found in the early 1940s in Atoka County, Oklahoma, which is part of the Choctaw Nation and Antlers Formation. Both the holotype and paratype were described at the same time, and for those who don't know, the holotype is a specimen used to describe an organism, and the paratype just means that there was more than one holotype. Both specimens had a few spines, ribs, and leg bones, with the holotype having a couple skull bones. This was all we knew of Acrocanthosaurus for a long time, with the next individual being from the Twin Mountain Formation in Texas. Another individual was found in the Antlers Formation shortly after, having extremely complete material from the skull and arms. This gave us an extremely good understanding of what Acrocanthosaurus looked like, with more being found in the following decades, with locations such as the Cloverleaf Formation in Wyoming and the Arundel Formation in Maryland, with that specimen being a subadult and the youngest youngest individual we have. All other theropods we have from North America were trapped on the western side of the continent, and this shows that Acrocanthosaurus lived across the continent ranging from east to west, and potentially it also lived in southern Arizona, with there being some teeth that were assigned to Acrocanthosaurus, but some more material is needed to know for sure. But all of these formations were from around 110 million years ago, with the region being hot and humid, with Acrocanthosaurus finding itself in a coastal environment, with the footprints from the Paluxy River and Government Canyon State Natural Area being from the forming Western Interior Seaway, and its role in the environment was extremely important. But to discuss that, we need to move on to somewhat obviously, Acrocanthosaurus was the apex predator in North America during its time period, with it being the largest theropod in the region by a good margin, with smaller predators such as Deinonychus showing it no real threat or challenge. Our large Carcharodontosaur most likely hunted a large variety of prey, with herbivores such as Sauropelta, Tenontosaurus, Sauroposeidon, and Asterodon being on the menu, but I should probably address the sauropod in the room. There's some decent evidence for Acrocanthosaurus hunting large sauropods, with their fossils being found with Poseidon quite oftenly, and the Paluxy River shows a large theropod walking alongside a sauropod, but these tracks might have been made at different times, and the fossils that were found together might have been deposited to the same region, but not at the same time. Now, I'm not claiming that Acrocanthosaurus didn't hunt sauropods, but it most likely wasn't a dedicated sauropod hunter like it is often claimed to be, and it most likely hunted young and sick individuals, as it would most likely not miss an opportunity. Some of the trackways are interpreted as multiple individuals hunting one large sauropod, but we're not even sure if these tracks were all made at the same time, and because of these tracks, our megatheropod is often depicted hunting sauropods, which brings us to Acrocanthosaurus wasn't used in paleomedia that much until the 2000s, so a lot of the designs are pretty similar, but there being little to no differences between iterations. But as a good base, our first design will be the prehistoric kingdom Acrocanthosaurus, and it is gorgeous like all of their designs. It's just a really good modern acro, with the colors on the crest being especially nice. But the next three depictions are all from Path of Titans, with there being 3 different mods that have come out throughout the years, with the Divine Beast acro being my least favorite of the 3 by a wide margin, and while it was an improvement for DB at the time, I personally don't think it's aged too well. The Arizoa acro is next, and it's pretty sweet, with great animations and skins, and it's definitely fun in groups, but my favorite of the 3 is the Absentia acro, as I like its design the most, with the Dominus variant being my favorite, and its sounds are really good. Just take a listen. Absolute cinema. And now we're heading to Gateway, with there being 2 designs from the Isle, with the Legacy one being a little too thin for my taste, and the Urvrima design is interesting. Obviously, it is fat, but I honestly like how it looks in the concept art, especially with those large crests, but I don't think the design translated very well onto a 3D model. Next is our first of many Jurassic designs, with the acro from Jurassic World the game being gross, but we're not going to discuss that and instead talk about the Acrocanthosaurus that briefly shows up in Dinotasia, and I really like this design. The colors are really nice, and I wish they gave it more screen time other than the intro, where it comes to life in a museum. And speaking of that, the Witty was my favorite childhood museum, and their acro has such a special place in my heart, and I really like the colors they gave it, and I will always love this beautiful animal every time I enter the museum. Primal Carnage is a game that exists, and it has an acro. I don't particularly have any strong feelings towards it, but moving away from video games for a little bit, we're gonna discuss 2 toys, with the first one being this green acro I've had for years, and it's always had a special place in my heart, and it's quite solid, but good god, the Beast of the Mesozoica Acrocanthosaurus looks amazing, and my bank account will be hurting whenever it's released. And it's good to see that they are branching away from Coelurosaurs and Ceratopsians. Now, the next design might be my favorite depiction of Acrocanthosaurus in all of paleomedia, but the one problem is that it's from ARK. with the Arc Edition's Acrocanthosaurus being so extremely beautiful. It has everything I want in a good Acrocanthosaurus design, with amazing colors, it's not too thin or too fat, and a defined crest. And I wish it wasn't stuck in Arc out of all games. And our penultimate design will be from Operation Genesis, and I'll let my good friend Fat Acro talk about this design as he's quite fond of it.
We've got a classic here. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. Acrocanthosaurus is a beautiful, if outdated, depiction of the animal, suffering from a few quirks of the Jurassic franchise, such as being shrink-wrapped and having pronated wrists. Other than that, you are a highly accurate depiction of the animal for the time, with a beautiful color scheme to boot. This design is very 2000s coded, but it still manages to be more accurate even to modern day than the Jurassic World Evolution Acro. This is an absurd achievement for a creature designed in 2003, considering the Acro was added to Evolution in 2019. I'm not sure if the cuts and spikes in its sail are supposed to be there, or if they're just a remnant of old software, but either way, it still makes for a cool design that I have few notes on. Although I have one. Its roars suck, they're just pitched up grizzly bear noises.
The final design is from Jurassic World Evolution. This isn't even an Acrocanthosaurus, it looks like they wanted to make a Tyrannosaur and decided they wanted to make an Acro halfway through. This animal is a chud and a disgrace to Acrocanthosaurus and the state of Texas. My hate towards this design is greater than the force of 1,000 neutron stars colliding, and I hope this design is erased from the game and the internet as a whole. This fucking thing deserves to die, and it doesn't even deserve the name Acrocanthosaurus. And if I have to look at this wannabe Tyrannosaur for one more second, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. So get this thing off of my screen. When people think of Texan dinosaurs, Acrocanthosaurus is always the first creature that comes to people's minds. And I believe it should be the state fossil of Texas, with the current one being a palm tree. I actually don't think that the state fossil being a tree is the problem, as certain places such as Arizona have trees for their state fossil, and it works in certain instances. But Louisiana also has the exact same palm tree as their state fossil. I think we should switch Texas to the Acrocanthosaurus, as it is the Texan dinosaur, and we're gonna ignore that it was originally discovered in Oklahoma. Acrocanthosaurus is pretty neat. It's always had a special place in my heart as the big theropod from where I grew up, and I'm super happy it's finally getting more representation in paleo media. It's most certainly my favorite mega theropod, and I'm excited for more people to learn about this amazing animal, and hopefully people realize that Acrocanthosaurus is the king of the South. Thank y'all so very much for watching this video. It's definitely my best one yet, and I had a ton of fun working on it. I hope this and the bottlenose whale video really help reinvent my channel, as I want to make more educational content, as I find it more fulfilling than a lot of the gaming content I was making before. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd like to reach 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and with y'all's support, that's definitely possible. Thank you so much to my channel members, and if y'all want to support me, the channel membership costs $4.99 a month. Perks such as early access to certain videos, with this being one of those. So thank you to Nortmanin, Hatsune Mike 31, Tristan YouTube Arts, Fat Acro, Tarchi Gamer, Power Chicken 2K, and Banana Pursor for supporting me. I'd like to show off some amazing art for my Discord server, Hadrosaur Haven, which is in the description and the pinned comment. And I would like to thank you for sticking around with my channel for the past few years. It has been a wild ride, and I've met so many amazing people because of this channel. And if you were to tell me that I'd have almost 10,000 subscribers by now, I would not have believed you, and I would have lost my mind. But I love y'all so very much, and I hope every single one of y'all have an excellent day. Bye-bye.